You made my day. Okay. Okay, this is what we discussed last time. You heard what he said, right? Or you want to get to the coffee. Okay, he said something on coffee, you deserve a repeat. We spent the whole spiel last time, Wednesday, because we're going into Midas and to explore, to identify the difference between Seichel and Midas. Very important distinction. For the sake of understanding the Bechlal, what we're learning, and in particular the Chassidus, it's important to understand what these things are about. So Levi, remember, he said clearly, he says, Seichel is to know the union as it is. Not as it affects you, but as it is. Midas is knowing the union as it affects you. Okay? This is, okay, it's a short statement, and definitely it's true. And it's a very good base to go a little step further. You have to go a little step further. Everybody is with us on this? You relate to this statement what Levi says? Yeah. What is the other step further? What is so significant about this? We're constantly saying, Seichel Midas. It's one way of perception, another way of perception. What is so significant? Particularly in light of the fact that clearly we celebrate Seichel in a very distinct way. Say Seichel, oh, that's the real thing, that's the human being. That's the human being in contrast to an animal. What's in it? What's so significant about this? Go ahead.
Help us. So when we can identify this within ourselves, we can have a mind rule over our heart when we know what comes from our mind and what comes from our heart.
Fine. Very good. This is the value of identifying what comes from the mind and what comes from the heart. I'm asking a different question. I'm asking, why is the mind, so to speak, considered superior to the heart? Because of this difference. What's so significant about this difference? We say this is a very important difference, because this is what distinguishes a human being from non-human being. It must be something very significant. What's so significant about it?
It's the truth. The Seichel is how you see the truth. You can tell what's the right thing, what's the truth. It's just chaos.
Can we understand? This is correct. Okay? It's brief. There's obviously much to elaborate on it. But this is the important thing. This is why we say animals, no matter how smart they are, they have no seichel. But they have seichel. They can figure things out. They have no seichel. They figure things out as things affect them. On that basis. Seichel the definition of Seichel means that you can identify with things because they are real, because they are truth. They're true. And this is where the whole principle of God and creation comes in. You don't see God. Nobody ever saw God. What are you talking about? What are we talking about? When we see the world from the perspective like the animal from Midas, we don't see God. We see only the world because it affects us. Who cares who made it? Who cares who made it? I like it, I don't like it. But when we see the world as a reality, not as it affects me, but just reality, where does reality come from? Did this reality make itself? Something that makes itself is not real. So this is where we come to recognize a godly presence. Godly means real. Emes. Like I quote all the time, the Rambam. Amit is Yemotzi, the truth of his presence. Where do we get to even relate, to think about the truth of his presence when we never saw him? The Seichel recognizes that there is a truth. How? Because that's what Seichel is. Not because of personal interest, because of personal effect, but because Seichel sees that the world is real. An animal sees an apple, and a human being sees an apple. It's the same apple. The human being can eat the apple, and how the animal can eat the apple? The animal sees the apple as something he can grab and eat. The human being sees the apple as something that was given to him, something very choshev, that was given to him. When he says a brocha, thanks for giving it to me. He relates not to the apple as an existence, he relates to the apple as a gift, as a godly gift. Because it's real. It's a completely different perception of things. This is why we say animals have no seichel, not even one drop of it. The whole concept that animals have seichel is total error. No matter how smart they are. They can imitate the human being, they can do all kinds of different things. As a matter of fact, I once saw an elephant. Elephant was given a crayon.
Was given a?
Huh? A crayon. No, in his beak, in his schnubel, holding a crayon, and it actually drew, the outline of an elephant.
It drew an elephant. An elephant drew an elephant. Where did you see this?
It's not very elaborate, but they drew an elephant. Excuse me?
I went to see it myself.
It was cute. It was interesting. Okay. And our friends are starting to say, see? Seichel! Not Seichel. This is what, now that I mentioned about drawing, an artist. You have an artist, and you have a photograph. A photograph is very accurate. What do you need an artist for? 1,000 years ago, they didn't have photograph, so they needed an artist. Now we have photography, color photography, the best digital photography. So what do you need an artist for? For a photograph, you pay $5. The best, for a piece of art, you can pay $1 million. What are you, crazy? You're not going to elaborate on it, but everyone understands that a piece of art is a completely different message. Right? He sees the artist presents it from a neshama perspective, a completely different message. let's leave it at that. I mean, as I said, there's much to talk about. We spent a whole Seder, a whole class in us last time, but Baruch Hashem, we certainly have a basic understanding of these principles. So up until now, let me just put the point where we're going to start. The line, it's at the bottom third, below the middle of the page, Daled, the line begins with the word Bo'olam. Yeah, okay. Thus, so far, can I have a little more air, either that or that, window or I don't care. It's just. Yeah, thank you. Right. So far, we were talking about the influence of the Nefesh HaElokis upon the Nefesh HaBahamis. Because the Nefesh HaBahamis also has Seichel, even though it's a behemoth, so to speak, a Nefesh HaBahamis, but it's Nefesh HaBahamis in the human being. And he has Seichel. We discussed the Seichel, if it's a behemoth, how does he have Seichel? The answer is, it's a behemoth with the human quality. What is the human element in this behemoth? Yes, the Nefesh HaBahamis is interested in Titus, in that which makes it feel good, but not exclusively for that. That which makes it feel good, it tells itself that is a purpose in life. It has some significance to it. Not like a behemoth. A behemoth, that which makes me feel good, I don't need any more further explanations. Makes me feel good, I like it. I don't consider at all what it is that I'm using to make me feel good. Nefesh HaBahamis of a human being is different because he has seichel. So even a taiva, it applies seichel to it. It says, hey, it's right, it's a good thing. That's a seichel element. Because it has seichel, the Nefesh HaElokis is not able to communicate with Nefesh HaBahamis and say, yeah, you're looking for something right, something true. Here, examine this. Take a look. You know, this taiva that you're pursuing, you think it's good. Where is this goodness coming from? Where is this goodness coming from? Right, the apple created itself. Think about it. You know what I'm saying? It's able to challenge, so to speak, and channel its thinking. This is how the Nefesh HaElokis is able to influence the Nefesh HaBahamis. And like we said in the whole discussion, that Nefesh HaElokis, once it is in the goof, the Nefesh HaElokis itself, for its own sake, can be aware of Elokus only through its manifestation in the Gashmis. Right? Moshel Gashmi, that's how the Nefesh HaElokis sees Elokus at this point. When it was in Betar Guf, in Gan Eden, he saw Elokus directly. But in the Guf, he can only see Elokus through the means by which the Guf can see. So it's true, it sees the Elokus in Gashmis, but it's in Gashmis. Once it is in Gashmis, the Nefesh HaBahamis can also be introduced to it. This is how the Nefesh HaBahamis is influenced by the Nefesh HaElokis. And as we mentioned, we learned that something extremely phenomenal. I hope you remember that actually the Nefesh HaElokis itself is benefiting as a result of being in Gashmis. Even though it's nothing compared to what it knew Elokus before in Gan Eden, but there's a certain benefit that it has Elokus b'muchash, which is a step in a different level. Okay, believe it, but we can sense that there's something special about that. Now becoming two midas. Okay?
Can I ask you something?
Of course, sure.
So the Nefesh Abam is everything that is drawn after all the types. It's always looking for. There's always some seichel aspect in it, or it's
Okay.
never just because it makes it feel good.
Okay. Good. Your question is well taken. The healthy Nefesh HaBahamis will seek some kind of a justification for anything it pursues. The healthy Nefesh HaBahamis. Like if it eats something, like even today's in the world, he eats something and it tastes good, but he also tells it, but it's also healthy. A person who can eat something without regard at all to its health element, if it is detrimental to your health, and he continues to eat it because it's tasty, he's saying that he is not well.
Right.
He's not well. He's not in contact with his intellect, with his own self. It could be, a person can be what's called chayli haruach, sick beruchnis. But he cannot apply, so to speak, his ruchnis his his own seichel, his seichel Nefesh HaBahamis. He is like lost control.
But isn't that about something that's detrimental?
I'm sorry?
Isn't that would be, for example, something that's bad for the person's health?
No.
Let's say something that's neutral. It's not bad or good. It's just a type. It doesn't have anything to do with bettering his health. Or
Generally speaking, I said a healthy human being will find some redeeming factor. Some humanly redeeming factor. Everyone knows that expression. Some value to what he's pursuing. It's interesting, some intellectual involvement as well as the pleasantness. A person who abandons himself, gives himself up completely to pleasantness is lacking a certain intellectual strength. It's not a healthy person, even in the world. That's generally the case. And it's possible not to be healthy. And then, yes, he's totally at the mercy of his tigers. I hope you don't know, but you probably heard there's such a concept that's called addiction. A person can be addicted to anything, alcohol, all kinds of different things. Food. There are people who can't control themselves with food. I had a guest one time. Mamish, it's called, just like there is Alcoholics Anonymous, you heard of Alcoholics Anonymous? There is Overeaters Anonymous. OA, Overeaters Anonymous. This man was Mamish controlled by a handler, just like an alcoholic. Before he eats, he would call up his handler and say, I'm going to be here for Shabbos, and this is what I'm going to eat for supper, this is what I'm going to eat for dinner in the morning. He has to give up control over his own choices. Otherwise, he'll get lost. It's called addiction. What's essentially addiction? He's addicted to eating. Eating is a good thing. Right? It's a good thing. A person has to eat. Even alcohol is also, there's we say l'chaim, it's not bad in essence, in itself. What's addiction? Addiction is when you lost intellectual control, application to this item. The item is in control of you just because it's there and nothing, and you do not apply your intellect. Completely ignores your intellect. That's addiction. The person does something, even to an excess, but he kind of, in his mind, justifies it, makes sense of it. It's some kind of intellectual justification. He's still not addicted. And if he works with his intellect, he can get himself on path. Someone who is an addict can't help himself. He needs to be in therapy. He needs to be in therapy. I mean, God forbid somebody is addicted to drugs. You know how they get people out? They lock him into a room, and he goes and screams bloody murder, and he can't help himself. But he has to go through this because he has to extricate himself from this addiction. Should never know it. I mean, this is the fact. And what is essentially the definition of addiction is that you lost control, the intellectual element. Okay. Let's pursue it further. Okay, so much with the Seichel Nefesh Elokis Nefesh Abamis. Okay, we have the place. The line begins with the word Bo'elam. Ukmoi kein hu behisoirus vehispoilus hamidois. The similar union that we described in the interaction between Nefesh Elokis and Nefesh Abamis on the Seichel level is also true in the spoilers, in the hisoirus and hamidos. The midos of the Nefesh Elokis, as they get aroused and they get affected, they get excited, there is also there an effect for the Nefesh Elokis upon the Nefesh Abamis. And now he's going to elaborate on this. Saharei, okay, stand back a moment. What is the principle is this. The original discussion of this lengthy discussion that we had on Seichel and so forth is to point out how the Nefesh Elokis and Nefesh Abamis are extremely different. Almost opposites. We pointed out how Nefesh Elokis and Seichel Elokis is totally opposite Nefesh Abamis. And yet, miraculously, they were pale that there is an interaction between them. And there is a Seichel Nefesh Elokis can affect the Seichel Nefesh Abamis. The same is true by Midos. They both have Midos. But the Midos and Nefesh Elokis and Nefesh Abamis are diametrically opposed. Completely different worlds. This is what we're going to discuss and how they ultimately talk to each other. Same is Mesiras Haspolas Amidas. Sharei HaNefesh Elokis Mitzad Atzmo. For it's obvious that the Nefesh Elokis on its own, from its own perspective, what the Nefesh Elokis is drawn to, Harei Kol Midoisom Heim Lahavai Levadoi. All its midos are exclusively Lahavai, exclusively to Hashem and to godliness. We'll have a chance to elaborate on this as we go. Ukmesha Kosev, as the Pasuk says, Hayavaye asher amadeti lefonov. This is a Pasuk, if I remember correctly, Eliyahu Hanavi said this. Eliyahu said, I promise, Hayavaye, I swear, in the name of Hashem, Asher amadati lefonu, before whom I stood. What is the implication of this pasuk? Amadati lefonu. Shehu ho'amido the nefesh ha'olekis. Amadati, what is the amido, standing in front of Havaya? This is the stand up of the nefesh ha'olekis, bebchinas ahava v'yira. In the aspect of ahava v'yira. How does one stand in front of Hashem? What do you mean I stand in front of Hashem? It means I'm completely absorbed by Elokus. How, in what way? Ba'ava v'yira. My whole, mother telephone. Just like a person stands in front of another person. What is this stand in front, standing facing each other? What does the facing each other mean? Facing each other means, generally speaking, either we love each other or we hate each other. Right? We're facing each other. So, Mala Telefonot means that I personally stood in front of Hashem, Abba B'yir. Why does he have this stand of Abba B'yir? Because he becomes affected, he becomes excited. Al Elokus Shemasegis. On the Elokus that it understands, that it comprehends, that it sees, that it recognizes, that it realizes. The Elokus, the godly presence that it realizes. V'nimshech as achadov. And it is drawn towards it, the bechinas ahava udveikus, in a form of ahava, which is dveikus, wanting to cleaving, wanting to come close, or bechinas ahava kirish be'esh, or in a form of ahava kirish be'yesh, where he gets all burnt up and excited about this, about the truth of Elokus.
You said Chai over here means swear?
Oh?
Like swearing in front of
Chai, yeah, Chai. Somebody confronted Eliyahu, and he said to him, what you tell me to do is going to put me in danger, because then you're going to not follow through on your word. So Eliyahu says, I swear that I will. That's the whole story. All right. We will see whether we'll have enough grasp over here to be able to discuss this Indian from his spoilers and lakus shemasegis. But simply speaking, as he says over here, the nefesh olekis recognizes the presence of the lakus, and it has an understanding of it and a comprehension of its greatness, on its purity, in its supremacy. As a result of that, it's affected with a desire to be close to it. This is the Arab of Nefesh Olekis. Kifi shorsho u'mekoiro. This Indian, what kind of ahava, what kind of way that the Nefesh Olekis relate to Elokus on the basis of his hasoga depends on the type of Nefesh it is. Kifi shoshu mekoiro, according to the source of the nefesh. Beprote hamadreges the midas alienis. There's a nefesh that's rooted in chesed, then its ahavo, its yiserus ahavo will be b'chinas dveikus, that he wants to come close and relate. If it's rooted in gvura, then its relation, his yiserus will be k'mish be'esh. It will be spoiled from the greatness of Elokus, and it'll be, so to speak, excited like a fire that's aflamed.
Okay, like almost like right before the prince says that so this has the problem. So it says like two things. First of all, it says that how like the level of like Abba, the level of like Abba and Vekas, or the level of like Abba creation. What's the difference between those two?
Abba Krish B'yesh is an Ahava that is that is actually the underpinning of the essence of the Ahava is Yira, is fire, is Gvura. The Ahava Vekus is an Ahava that is rooted in Chesed. That's what I explained.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't catch it.
Huh?
I didn't catch it. Sorry. Thank you.
So, different people, but being that they have different natures, they going through the same, say, contemplation process, they would feel different.
They would react differently. Yeah, based on what kind of nefesh it is. It says like, they said B'Shamim B'Hillel. You know B'Shamim B'Hillel. B'Shamim B'Hillel is like a classic illustration of this, because B'Shamai is always l'chumra, B'Hillel is always l'kula, except for mamash, three exceptional cases. What is underlying this? B'Hillel is l'kula because B'Hillel is rooted in the midas l'mayla atzilus in midas chesed, and B'Shamai are rooted in l'mayla in atzilus in midas agvura. There was the story of Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Ben Azariah. Very briefly, I'm sure you all know the story because it's always told in the Seder. Rabbi Ben Azariah says, "Ani kven shivim rishona." So, what's kven shivim rishona? He was actually 17 years old. What's kven shivim? Because he became a Nasi, they made him a Nasi, so all of a sudden he acquired the appearance of a Shivim Shona in order for them to have a sense of respect for him. He was really a very young man. What was the story? How did Rabbi Azariah get into this position? Because it was a whole machlokes, and Gamliel was the Nasi, and there was something that Gamliel did that was offensive to one of the Tanoim, and they decided to remove him from his messiahs. And that didn't last very long. He eventually was restored back, but this was a short period that he was on. So the Gemara says that Gamliel was a very strict Nasi. Gamliel would say, Kol shein teche kibarei, somebody whose inside is not identical to his outside, as outside how he presents himself is not a correct reflection of what his inside is not permitted in this matter. But Messiah said, no, I'll allow everybody to come in. And then the Bismedish all of a sudden became filled up, multiple additional benches. Okay, so it's a whole discussion over there. What is it, the difference between Gamliel and Rabbi Elazar? Gamliel didn't want people to learn. And Gamliel said, his approach was, you're going to learn Torah. In order to learn Torah, you have to appreciate what Torah is. It's a Meibash's Torah. How can I allow somebody who is not on par to learn Meibash's Torah? Right? Rabbi Ben Azariah said, you have to learn Torah. So how can I prevent somebody from learning Meibash's Torah? Exactly the same chesed, but a different approach. An approach of chesed, approach of gvul. Both are out to make the statement that this is Meibash's Torah, and it's precious. But they each are inclined to do it in different ways. It's not the nature of their nefesh. Let's see, Abba Bechinas Dveikis or Abba Krish V'yesh. Okay, let's pursue it further. So primarily, number one, so far we learned that the Nefesh Elikis, what is the Nefesh Elikis affected by? It is by its understanding of Elikus. Elikus is the only thing that really affects the Nefesh Elikis in the form of Ahava, one way or another. And then furthermore, the nature of the hispoilus, of the excitement that the Nefesh Elikis experiences, he bedakos v'ruchnius, is very subtle and very fine, and you call that like a spiritual type of excitement. The excitement with Nefesh Elikis is not, oh, I feel good. Oh, it's such a pleasant thing. Oh, what a beautiful day. You know, let me take a walk in the garden. That's not what Nefesh Elikis is after. Its excitement is a very subtle. The darkness with ruchnius. It's a ruchnius, a response to its perception of Elikus. Muvshot Mikol, his spoilers for Hergish Gash. Muvshot means completely removed, absent. Muvshot, devoid, not having any. His spoilers for Hergish Gashmi. What is Hergish Gashmi? This is what we said before. Remember, we've been talking about the Nefesh Abahamis. Nefesh Abahamis has, I'm enjoying it. It's good. But because it's a Nefesh Abahamis of a human being, it also has a seichel dikeh, an intellectual background. Otherwise, we say he's not well. But primarily, he has this admixture of seichel. Primarily, he's actually experiencing it because it makes him feel good. And a personal feel good. Nefesh Elikis is not bent on that path at all. Nefesh Elikis is mispoiled because of the purity and the greatness of the Elikus, not because it makes him feel good. You know, about Chassidim, in olden days, it's not that old, but it happens to be like, today it's like olden days. Chassidim used to daven with great concentration, with great dedication, many hours. Davening used to take many hours. And they were, during the davening, they were very deeply touched, very deeply affected by davening. Sometimes they would cry, sometimes they would sing. There were all kinds of different reactions that would come out in their davening. Some Chassidim is done hours and hours on end. So, somebody who has no perception, no concept at all what this is about, he would say, he must have enjoyed it. Must have enjoyed it. See, you smile because you understand that's not what it's about. It's not what it's about. It's in a completely different realm of experience than enjoying it. But somebody who is not exposed to Chassidus and everything, only knows that the only way he can express it. Enjoy it. Because don't enjoy it. The Nefesh Elokis, the exposure of Nefesh Elokis is totally devoid of that element. It is not a personal experience. It is an experience with the godly koiches that Hashem gave it, and it's actually his spoilers is completely representative of what it's mispoiled from, of the Elokus element, not its preference. This means it's devoid of any kind of personal feeling of Gashmias. Dakus Ruchnius. Mufshad Herges Gashmi. There isn't a personal experience in this at all. That's the Nefesh Elokis. I'm going to try and take you into that arena, so to speak. Elokus, as I mentioned many times, I mentioned today even every time, the meaning of Elokus, this is emes. In other words, its presence is not defined by its presence, by something definable, something tangible. Its presence is exclusively the truth, and the truth itself. It's like, in terms of a table, let's say, it's the constant of a table without its form. Can you relate to that at all? We discussed it one time. The reason I mentioned it because we discussed it one time. There is an element. I don't want to go too far away because the reason that human being sits by a table is because of something in his nefesh that says that you have to sit next to it by a table, not stand there and walk around and eat and table represents Malchus. You know that in Mishkan there was a table. The table represents Keser Malchus, and the human being has a Malchus element. This has nothing to do with the wood and the form of the table. It's just the concept. Except the Nefesh Abana, the very person is in the group. He can only relate to a table once he sees it and he can touch it and feel it. But even then, his experience essentially is not just the physical comfort. The table does not provide exclusively, you with me so far? The comfort that the table provides for the human being. It provides a certain sense of human respect. You understand? It's not just the comfort, which is an intangible thing. What's respect have to do with it? That's what it is. The Nefesh Elokis, when you experience the spoil of an Elokus, it's the spoil from the purest element of Elokus, the truth of Elokus, not how it is affected in its own experience. Devoid of any Hergesh Gashmi. It's the truth itself. Okay?
It has nothing to do with the person, no personal, it's not a personal experience. So it's not.
Right. It's not, and it's not, the hispolis is not because of the benefit that I get from it. It's the reality itself. I'll give you an example. It's an illustration. It's only from Norach, but when you eat, you have to sit. Make a bracha, you have to sit down and make a bracha. Now, you're standing, and you got fast food, one of those things. It's much easier for you to just gobble it up and forget about it. Make a bracha, okay, make a bracha. On the run. He said, no, wait. It's not respectful to you as a human being to do that. You have to sit down and make a bracha. And on top of that, sit down and make a bracha, and then a double covering on your head, whatever it is. And preferably you're sitting in front of a table, that's even better. This is all interfering with your personal enjoyment. Leave me alone, I just want to gobble it down. By the time I'm going to find a chair and sit down by the table, I could have eaten 2 sandwiches already. Right? So it's not for personal experience. It's not for personal enjoyment. There's something human about it. Something very subtle. And it's very important. Nefesh Elikis is exclusively into that, on that level. It's interested only in that kind of truth. What the Rebbe should create. What is the Elokus of it? Not anything to do with personal experience, personal comfort, gashmis. No, zero. That's not what makes it real. What makes it real is the fact that this exposes a godly element. If a human being sits down and eats, makes a bracha and sits down and eats, it's not just respecting the human being. Where does the human being get his respect from? From God. Because God created a human being. You have to respect that special creature. This is what the Nefesh Elikis is affected by. People who are not aware of this truth are not aware of human respect either. A certain picture remained in my mind for some reason. I mean, you see it all the time, but a certain picture remained in my mind as a child. I remember walking in the streets of Paris, and this man was riding on a bicycle and holding a long, in French there's a French breads that are like a mile long. He's holding it and he's eating straight from that bread, and he's riding the bike. That picture kind of remained in my mind. That's a Nefesh Elikis. Okay, let's continue. In the parenthesis, Ukmoi Kain, who biridos olamato. The similar inyan, when the neshama descends here below, Ba'avidoso mitzad atzmo. And that part of the Nefesh Eloki's presence in the world, here below, that part of it that reflects its Aveda for with itself. There are two aspects of Aveda for Nefesh Elokis in the world, in the Guf, as we learned before. One is how the Nefesh Elokis is affecting the Nefesh Abamis, and is struggling to explain to the Nefesh Abamis and to elevate Nefesh Abamis and to be Mevarech Chel Bo'elim, as we learned. And one is when the Nefesh Elokis is completely forget about the whole world, forget about the Nefesh Abamis. It's busy with itself. Indulging. I want to be what I am. It's called Avidosa Mitzadatzmo. So the Nefesh Elokis, even in the world, Avidosa Mitzadatzmo, it's a Veda that it does for itself, from its own sake, not involving, not as a duty to Nefesh Abamis. K'moi b'tfilo the Shabbos, like the tefillah of Shabbos. Shabbos, you're not involved in birurim, what's called birurim, to be mevarech the world, mevarech Nefesh Abamis. Shabbos, you're not in Shabbos. In Ayid is bichlal, and is a different realm, in the godly realm. It's completely separated from worldly considerations. Avidosa mitzadatzim b'Shabbos, shehu schar avidosa v'habirurim d'mezachel. That which the Nefesh Elokis experiences, that which the Nefesh Elokis comes to realize in its avodah with itself on Shabbos, is the schar, it's the reward that it gets because of all the hard labor that it went through during the weekdays. During the weekdays, you have to constantly tame the Nefesh Abamis and deal with it and so forth. And it affected, it accomplished birurim. It's actually, like we said before, that the Nefesh Elokis recognizes Elokus through Gashmius. That is a whole breakthrough for the Nefesh Elokis itself. Birurim, that's Merarer, the Gashmius. The light that is created as a result of this birurim, just like when you take two stones and you strike, right? So a stone is a stone. You strike, what comes out? A spark of light. Nefesh Elokis in the whole week is like striking against the wall, in the wall of the Nefesh Abamis, and that ultimately creates a spark of light. And this spark of light is what it gets as its reward on Shabbos. So there too, even though the Nefesh Elokis is at that time is already in the group, it's not Nefesh Elokis as it is on its own. But Shabbos, it's given that privilege to experience and to live in its own abode, not to deal with anything in the world, and actually reap the fruit of its avodah, of its struggles with the Nefesh Abamis, with the whole, in the weekday, with the Ruri. So there too, on that level, even in the group, its spoilers and its effect is entirely pure. Nothing to do with the Gashmic experience. Like I said, to say to somebody, to a Chosid, who used to daven for hours and say, enjoy, you look at it like you came out, where are you coming from? That's not what it's about. Particularly on Shabbos. Shabbos is in a different world completely.
What does it mean that it's a schar?
What?
What does it mean that there is, the point of Shabbos is the schar of all the...
Schar Rabbi also of Birurim. Yeah, that's what I explained to you. Throughout the week, the Nefesh Elokis is constantly challenged by the Nefesh Abamis because it's involved in worldly things. The Nefesh Abamis is the one who is actually performing all the acts. And the Nefesh Elokis has to constantly be on top of it and give it inspiration and explanation so that it should follow the right path. This is called Birudim. Every time that you grab a piece of food and you stop yourself for a second. Wait a second, you didn't make a bracha. What bracha did you make on this? That's a Nefesh Elokis fighting the Nefesh Abamis. The Rabbi says, leave me alone. You know, come on, I finally got a piece of herring. You have it.
Well, it's like a bringing where you're trying to get the herring all the way down there for so long.
Right? When you come to whatever it is, a smorgasbord, whatever it is, they have all kinds of cookies here. There's rich cookies, and the Rebbe says, don't take this cookie, this tam-tam. Come on, leave me alone already. You know? These are all birurim. These are all birurim. And this is like scratching a stone that gives out the spark. And the Nefesh Elokis is brightened up by this spark.
Feel the davening in Shabbos.
This is the davening of Shabbos.
What is the brightening? I mean, how does the person experience that? How does that manifest? Is the person aroused spiritually more easily, or?
Yes, and he's not distracted by anything, and he actually appreciates and he actually sees the brightness in davening. Whatever degree is, it is. Shabbos. If somebody, would you ever see somebody daven Shabbos, like you're davening a weekday? Say the words without looking at the Seder and then just bubble them up. Everybody, generally speaking, Shabbos davening takes 2 hours. Saying, we wait for the chassan, you're not impatient, the chassan. What are you singing for? Come on, let's get over it. It's not the way it works in Shabbos. Right?
But then why is it depend? So why is it depends on the bidurim? Meaning on Shabbos.
Because if you did basically, okay. The Nefesh Elokis is in the guf, and it has a duty here. It cannot easily, so to speak, disengage itself from this duty. If it performed in duty during the weekdays, then it's given this privilege. Comes Shabbos, okay? Now you're exempt. That's exactly the way it works. It's exactly the way it works. Shabbos, you're muktzeh, you don't touch anything, you're completely off. You have no worldly obligations. All the food you eat is already prepared from before. And you can eat as much as you want and enjoy it. It's a different world. Then she says, between the Shabbos, that's when the Nefesh Elokis is on its own. So that's all. Okay, so we are up to the Nefesh Abamis right now.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it is. Okay, you can leave the Nefesh Abamis alone for 2 days. Okay, have a good day, have a good evening.